Representative Jack Kingston has an idea for how we can teach the children of today how to be workers of tomorrow. And one way that we can save money and instill a bit of a raise yourself by your bootstraps mentality to them is by getting rid of their free school lunches. He says, why don't you have the kids pay a dime, pay a nickel to instill in them that there is, in fact, no such thing as a free lunch? Or maybe sweep the floor of the cafeteria. And yes, I understand that that would be an administrative problem, and I understand that it would probably lose you money, but I think that we would gain as a society in getting the myth out of their head that there's no such thing as a free lunch. And he is right, in most cases there is no such thing as a free lunch unless you are Representative Jack Kingston, who has been getting free lunches for at least 3 years now. In fact, over the past 3 years, Kingston and his staff expense nearly $4,200 in meals, lunches specifically, for business purposes to his congressional office, paid for by, well, you, if you're an American. He also got over $4,800 in lunches provided by third-party, like lobby groups and things like that. And just not even worrying about that. The amount that you paid for as a taxpayer could have paid for 2,000 Georgia school lunches for those damn lazy children.
And also, what is it with these Georgia politicians like Newt Gingrich who wants these kids to clean up the lunchroom?
Yeah, janitor? Or at least there they're just sweeping. Yeah. Like they're not cleaning up the toilets.
Because they liked it when they'd go into places and black people were cleaning up their messes.
Right.
They were comfortable.
That
was a comfortable way of life. The Kingston has also traveled on to a handful of continents on congressional business, racking up over $24,000 in costs. But and that was from a report by WSAV which I guess
I'm guessing Savannah.
It might be in Savannah. Yeah, I interviewed there. I dropped my tape off there.
Really?
Huh. Yeah, that's
you
why.
You could have been covering the story.
I could have been covering the story. Yeah, back
Ben Mankiewicz in Savannah, Georgia, has this with Jack Kingston.
Yeah.
So they, but what that story leaves out, and is that afterwards, he'd fly on these planes, on these congressional junkets, but he would clean the plane afterwards. So,
exactly.
And I think they should. I think they should have reported it.
Yeah. Now, look, maybe it's petty, perhaps, to highlight the free lunches that he's getting, but they get endless perks in so many different areas of their life.
It's not petty at all. Petty, it's never petty to highlight hypocrisy. Petty is to say that kids should pay a nickel or a dime to show there's no such thing as a free lunch.
Or go in front of the other kids and sweep in front of them to teach them from a young age that no, you're never really going to aspire or reach any sort of heights in your career. You should be cleaning up for the kids who don't have to have reduced or free lunch.
And how about the kids who that's the only meal they're going to have all day? The people who can't afford the dinner when they go home.
Also, because we keep like he didn't say black kids, but that's who he means, right? That's what John Stossel's talking about. They're talking about welfare queens. That's what they're talking about, and that's what Stossel's talking about.
Oh, Kingston's white?
Yeah, I think it turns out Jack Kingston's wife. And how's the only thing that these guys know about black kids is that they're freeloaders?
Yeah.
Right? Does he know what kind of music they listen to? Does he know who they watch on TV, who their favorite sports teams are, who their idols are, what they read, who their parents are, whether they live in a big family, whether they respect their grandparents, whether they get along with their cousins? No, all he knows about them is that these guys come to school and they don't pay the 88 cents that it costs to make their goddamn lunch.
Yeah.
And so no, it's not petty, as Michael says. It's because it's not just hypocrisy. Everybody's a little hypocritical. But like John Stossel, it's the exact same thing. It's like, here's how I'm going to make my day today. Here's how I'm going to get my name in the paper today. Is I'm going to take on the people least equipped to defend themselves against my attack.
Yes, it's you're the reverse Robin Hood.
I totally forgot about you.
You're the it's these guys who are the reverse Robin Hood. These people who look at a society like Newt Gingrich. He was upset that the union janitors in New York City. That's why the kids should be the janitors, because they just make outrageous sums of money. So these guys, they look at an economic system as big as New York City, and he goes, you know who's fucking things up? The goddamn janitors. That's who's tearing shit down. It's the janitor. So there's got to be another word that expresses the emptiness of humanity that you are, the cravenness of a human that you are. This is how John Stossel makes his living, shitting on poor people.
Yeah.
Literally, figuratively shitting on poor people almost every day.
Literally, that's a weird.
Literally,
I said figuratively.
Don't Martin Mashiras. The number of Americans self-identifying as liberal is at an all-time high, but don't get too excited yet. The number is still very low. So Gallup has been asking this question since 1992, and the number today is 23% of Americans self-identifying as liberals. Now,
I'm pleased with that.
Let's hold 1 second. So we got 38% of Americans as conservative. That is actually down from an all-time high in 2010 of 40. 34% of Americans identifying as moderate. I have huge problems with not asking the question, but what people will interpret this to mean. No, you jump in.
Oh, they're going to presume that the moderates are evenly split, or that they embrace exactly as much of the conservative ideology as the liberal ideology. The problem, of course, is the words. Everybody likes the word conservative, and liberal still is a bad word.
Yes.
If you ask the question progressive, we already know that it does better, which is why we're trying to embrace that word.
Although I was at a dinner honoring your father in Washington, and I was lucky enough to sit next to George McGovern, former presidential nominee, former senator, and somebody on the stage said progressive, and he leaned over to me and said, I hate that goddamn word. We're liberals. We're liberals. Be proud to be a liberal. That was
really?
Yeah, no, and McGovern's great. And my father says the same thing. They're just wrong. I mean, they're like they're right to fight for it, but they're like, you're like, hey, we're losing.
It's a dumb fight. Switch the name. I don't care.
Yeah, right.
It's the ideas that are important.
It's the ideas that
not
are important.
the labels.
So that. And so what we know the news media will do, and what this allows the right to do, is say, look, it's a center-right country. 38% conservative, 23% liberal. When if you know, we go idea by idea by idea. It's not really even center-left. It's kind of left.
This is. I would have guessed these. I'm not specific numbers. I would have been right.
You would have been right
around that ratio. Yeah, exactly. Thank you. Stores, Connecticut, ladies and gentlemen. I definitely would have. That's what it feels like in the country.
Well, it's funny that people who identify as Democrats don't call themselves liberals, right? They'll say they'll identify as Democrats,
but conservatives, Republicans,
always.
But the Democrat. That's one of the problems with the Democratic Party has is it's a bigger tent, as they say, and that you can be pro-choice and pro-life, and you can be a Democrat. And that's.
And so I'm glad, Jimmy, that you brought up the idea of the ideas, because I don't like when people are asked in general, are you a liberal, are you a moderate, particularly moderate. I have a big problem with that, because from my time doing political science, first of all, most people just say that because we respect moderates in this country. And also, or they'll say it because they don't know anything about politics.
I think I'm a moderate. I have very moderate views. I'm not a crazy person, right?
You're right.
Yeah.
And also, as Jake loves to point out, if you actually ask people about particular policies, it doesn't matter if they say they're a liberal or a conservative. Research has shown that people who say they're extremely liberal are not as liberal as they say they are, but every single other group is more liberal than they think they are. Whether they say they're a conservative, a moderate, or a liberal, they actually, when you talk to them about what the government should be involved in, the role of the military internationally, health care, all sorts of things like that, they're significantly more liberal than they think they are. And so I'm sorry that the Gallup poll doesn't show that, and I know that Fox is going to love to say that only 23% of Americans are liberal, although they'll leave out the all-time high numbers.
They'll leave out the all-time high, but it's why guys like Jack Kingston, punks like Jack Kingston and John Stossel, these guys who should really just be ashamed of themselves today, are so effective, because they find little stories that get people sort of emotionally invested. Because these kids are like, I'm struggling I can barely feed my kids. I'm struggling. They're getting free lunches, and these women are they're doing nothing. They're just having kids and taking, and it's incredibly distracting. And we don't talk about any of the big issues that we know when we take time and ask people. We know what side they're on.
So if John Stossel was a reporter in North Korea, he'd be showing you videotapes of guys kicking puppies. That's what you should be outraged about in North Korea. It wouldn't be about the oppressive regime and all that. It'd be something else to get you just as riled up. Yeah. You have just as much anger at this thing, but it's not the thing you should be angry at, and that's what John Stossel, and that's what Fox News is there for. It's distracting you during the Armageddon, right? So while things are fucking blowing up, they got you, it's Obamacare, and it's this, and it's the poor people, and it's the homeless guy.
I quoted Anchorman 2 on the Jimmy Dore show yesterday with the don't give the people what they need, give the people what they want. The problem is that Fox got that message too. I mean, and they're incredibly good at it, is that they will give the people we'll just we'll show them something. We'll show them something that'll get them angry or patriotic or something, anything to distract them from the real problem.
It's the equivalency of Fox News is like a bag of Fritos and a Coca-Cola. That's what they're just giving, just empty garbage all day long. But it is delicious.
Can we get some? Is there Bart?
I want to tweak your North Korea metaphor. Like, it's bad if the North Korean reporter talks about them kicking a puppy, but what Fox would do is they would show the one guy in the village who is hoarding rice or something. Because it's one thing to distract them, but they want to actively set poor Americans against other poor Americans so they don't notice that the regime is making them all go hungry.
Yes, that's right.
Let's send John Stossel to North Korea, just see what he covers.
I'd like to see Dennis Rodman slap him, actually.
I'd like to see him get slapped again by that professional wrestler who should be retroactively pardoned by whoever is the governor of that state.
Unfortunately, that's all the time we have for the first hour. When we come back from our break, Anna Kasparian will be here. The rest of the guys will remain. Before I go, I did happen to see one tweet from Alex Golembeski. Said, if a few people abuse SNAP or welfare, we need to cut the whole program, but don't touch the Pentagon who regularly wastes billions. And I like that, and it's not billions, it's actually 1.8 trillion over the last 20 years that we've found so far. So I love that tweet, and I'm going to do something that I never ever do. You guys, I've plugged your shows. I'm going to actually plug my show. If you would like to see me more for whatever reason, every day on TYT University, youtube.com/TYT University, you can see me covering college news and things like that. And also, if you want to see me cover more politics, you can go to youtube.com/John Iadarola. And yeah, we're going to take a break. When we come back, Anna Kasparian.